Hey, what's up YouTube? It is K-Rod here. I'm back with another good video for today. I'm going to be talking about the possible...
Especially guys who
Sorry. I'm going to be talking about, whatchamacallit, Chantelle Cameron versus Mary Mcgee fight unification at 140. I'm going to basically talk about this fight because I find it very interesting, and I feel like it's kind of necessary to talk about female boxing. Every now and then to talk about certain fights that are on the horizon and where the political state of certain divisions are. So yeah, let's talk about it. Chantelle Cameron versus Mary Mcgee. For those of you that don't know, Chantelle Cameron, she is a British fighter. Fights at 140. She's a good fighter. Not the best fighter in the world, but she is good in her, respective right to get some credibility. She's only 14-0, 8 knockouts. She recently got a pretty much a given knockout victory. It wasn't really a knockout victory over Melissa Hernandez. Decent fight, not really worth the TKO stoppage. Sounded or for those of you that have watched the fight back in May when Devin Haney defended his world title against Jorge Linares, she was the co-main event. She stopped her, in which it was a very early stoppage. Wasn't even worth a TKO stoppage victory. It actually was just more like a gimme, and a lot of fans booed her, for it. So she obviously knew that she, didn't have this power that a lot of people will say that she does. Because if you look at it from her last 3 fights before then, she was not even getting close to stopping any of these girls except for maybe Anais Sanchez. But Anais Sanchez, she held her own and she still couldn't stop her. So, her last opponent that she really ever knocked out was Vida Masakayete. I don't know who the hell this woman is, but you can just see every time when she steps it up, she's not really stopping anybody. She gets maybe a quick knockout, she might get herself a quick flash knockdown of some sort, and then it eventually just becomes, just like a regular unanimous decision victory. So I don't really think that she's that good of a fighter as far as just knocking people out. She's obviously just a volume puncher. She doesn't really have all this power that she possesses. And I mean, with this matchup between her and Mary Mcgee, I think Mary Mcgee is going to give her the toughest fight ever. For those of you that don't know, Mary Mcgee, she is the current IBF world champion. She's been champion for quite some time, ever since back in 2019. She knocked out Anna Laura Esch. For those of you that don't know, this is the same woman that fought Victoria Bustos, the racist piece of shit that was talking crap to Mary Mcgee that was about to unify with her. And I guess she recently vacated her belt for some odd reason. Probably could just be because, she was racist and she deserved to be stripped. Because, I mean, honestly, if you're racist and, you're holding a world title in boxing, of course people want to, take your head out. But either way, this woman, she's a good fighter. She's gotten some good wins. She's defeated Adela Peralta twice. That was a good fight. Farida El Hadradi, that was a beautiful fight. Wow, Peralta defeated her the first time, so she's 2-1 over her. She had defeated Svetlana Kulakova. That was a good fight, which I thought she actually won that fight. I'm not gonna lie, because Kulakova, she obviously didn't deserve to really how should I say? She didn't deserve to hold, any skin in the game in that fight. And Anna was beating the crap out of her. She's not that big of a puncher. She's a very pillow-fisted lady, and I'm not going to just doubt on her. She can definitely fight, but when you look at her opponent, she's not fighting nobody at a higher caliber, and it shows as you fight your weakest competition versus the highest, toughest competition. So yeah, this is a good victory for Mary. She defeated her. That was a good victory on her resume. She beat Sylvia Zazbato. She beat Deanna Hobbs. Decent names, to say the least. Don't have the best resume in the world. I mean, this fight against Erica Farias, that was a very difficult fight for her, but she definitely held her own against that fight. I'm pretty sure if she had rematched her, she probably would have defeated her. Another fight that I would say would be honestly, like, some good fights that I've seen her in would be, I'd probably say the Holly Holm fight. That was a beautiful fight. I enjoyed that fight. And what's the other one? Yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, Victoria Cisneros? No, that's not it. But Mary, she's a good fighter. She's been calling out a lot of women by the likes of Jessica McCaskill. She obviously didn't want to, answer her doorbell, or, answer the ring on her doorbell when Mary was knocking on it. Jessica is avoiding her. She's a very good fighter. She has 15, knockouts, and she's basically coming off of 2 back-to-back knockout victories within the span of 2 years, or almost 1.5 years leading into 2 years. So before the year is up, if she does have a good victory over Chantelle Cameron, that will be a very, very good win on her resume. And I think it just speaks for herself. She is a good, awesome fighter. Do I put her in that GOAT status? Not yet, but I will say that she is a very prestigious fighter. And I think when we look at this fight between her and Chantelle Cameron, both ladies can hit, but when you look at who has the better style, I'm going to have to give it to Mary Mcgee, just simply because she is a pure technical boxer puncher. She really doesn't stay in front of you. She's very technical when she pressures you, almost similar to almost like a Keith Thurman in a way, but a lot better, in the sense that she doesn't stand right in front of you. She moves around. She knows how to break people down and give people a tough time in a fight. But either way, she definitely knows how to bang and hurt somebody. But her credible victories as of recently definitely speaks for itself. She has defeated some decent names, and she almost came close to defeating some big names like Holly Holm and Erica Farias. Those fights were awesome. But on top of that, how I see this fight going down is I think this fight is going to go the distance. If it does go to a knockout victory, I'm going to have to give it to Mary, just simply because she is the taller fighter, right? Oh no, she's actually shorter. But Mary, she has a longer reach than Chantelle, so that will be her disadvantage in this fight if Chantelle can't get past her jab. Because Mary, the good thing that I like about her is that she has a really good jab. She's very technical off her jab, and she keeps you away from her when she knows that she has the better, combination punches landed to win the fight. So I think where she's at stylistically is just a bad style matchup for Chantelle. And fights that we've seen Chantelle struggle in is against women that are pressured defensive fighters. But I think the one fighter that really gave her a lot of trouble was the Miriam Dalal fight, where Miriam Dalal, she pieced her up. She started giving her some really mean shots on the inside, and Chantelle, she wasn't liking that, so she was resorting to outside boxing. But Dalal, she cut the ring off, and she gave her a lot of issues on the inside, making it harder for her to try to create space. And it's harder for me to explain. For those of you that are curious about that fight, go check that fight out. That was a good fight, but still, Chantelle, she had the toughest fight out of that fight itself at 135. But now that we see her at 140, she's not really as, she's not as agile as she once was, and she is a bit slow on her feet. And what I don't like out of Chantelle is that she leaves her hands wide open, almost like a high guard type of fight. She really tries to make the fight very dirty on the inside. But I will say that she does have good inside working ability when she knows how to get you to a toe-to-toe level. But that's her problem. She gets hit a lot, so I think if she capitalizes off her disadvantages with her slow feet, poor reflexes, not being able to, switch up her angles when it comes to, picking and choosing the right shots. I think that's the biggest problem here, because Mary, she's a technical pure boxer puncher, and I think what Mary's going to present to her is going to be defensive boxing pressure, where Mary's just going to pick her out nice and slow, but she's not going to leave it to the judges. She's obviously going to knock out Chantelle, but it's going to be a type of knockout where you would see it in her last fight. I think it'll be a very competitive fight, but do I think Chantelle is a really big puncher? Not really. I mean, if it really took her 5 rounds to defeat Melissa Hernandez, when it took the referee to stop the fight, where she wasn't even hurt at all, then I think with her previous opponent, I think with her previous 3 past opponents, a woman by the name of Adriana Araujo, a woman that's not even that good of a fighter, that she fought for the vacant WBC world title, which she just pretty much had a little cakewalk, but she was fighting her for 10 rounds when she could have just stopped her, but she couldn't even stop her. Same thing with Anaya Sanchez. She dropped her in round 9, and then Anaya, she held her own, and then good, you got a unanimous decision victory. And then same thing with Anisha Bashil, another good young female fighter that she fought, but she wasn't even able to stop her. She hurt her a couple times, but that's pretty much it. Chantelle, she is a good fighter when it comes to brawling, but when it comes to boxing and trying to close, the show, she's obviously not good at doing that, because she struggles with trying to get her closing ability perfected when she has when she has the momentum in her favor. And I think what's going to happen in this fight is that Mary's just going to pick her off, and she's going to probably drain her to the body. And I think that's going to be her biggest weakness, because if you look at it from the Miriam Dalal fight, she was working her body. She was piecing her up. She was going upstairs, downstairs. She was giving her some really mean hooks to the face, and I think that's what's going to make Chantelle be battle-tested to deeper waters, because I think what Mary's going to do is that she's just going to take her time. She's not really going to force any, crazy punches to Chantelle, but I think when Mary catches her, that's what's going to be the end game of Chantelle's, disadvantages to come to light, because she gets hit a lot. So if you really think about it, if you're in Mary's position, what are you going to do with a fighter that wants to bang with you? You're just going to outbox him with a jab. And I think that's what she's going to do to Chantelle. I'm not saying that Chantelle has a chance. It is a 50-50 fight, but just looking at recent performances, I think Mary is she's a more agile fighter, and she has a lot more pop in her jab. And Chantelle, she's just more of a heavy, brutal, brawler type of fighter. And I don't think she really has heavy hands. She's more of a volume puncher. She's not a one shot, you're done type of fighter. She hits you, she hits you. She obviously has to create a volume amount of punches in order to actually stop you. So I don't really think it's that much of a fight where Chantelle is going to have an easy cakewalk, because I do see Mary giving her a lot of issues, especially with her ring IQ. She has amazing ring IQ, and she just knows when to pick you off when she sees up the right opportunity. But if you see the vitals of both ladies, she's 5'6" with a 72-inch arm reach, and she's an orthodox. And Chantelle, she is 5'8" with a 68-inch arm reach, if I'm not mistaken, or 69-inch arm reach. And it's not too bad of a fight. I just think stylistically, Mary, she's just gonna pick her off, and she's gonna get her tired to the point where her punches aren't going to sting as much, because she does have a tendency to gas out in the later rounds, and I think that's what's gonna happen to Chantelle. And I do like Chantelle. She is a really beautiful fighter, But I'm not going to sit here and say Chantelle is the greatest woman on earth, because she hasn't tested herself to the other side of the pond. And this will be like our very first test against a woman by Mary Mcgee, who isn't no joke. She can knock, a lot of people out in her division, and she is, the reigning IBF world champion. So I think with what speaks for herself, she's not going to come in there trying to win by decision. She's going to come in there and try to knock Chantelle out, but she's going to do it in a decisive, technical manner. So if you're going to, bet on this fight, I would definitely put my money on Mary Mcgee. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't think Chantelle has ever met a fighter like her. She obviously struggles against, women that know how to box her, but give her pressure at the same time. And, I'm not going to sit here and say Chantelle, she can't box. She has a good amateur, pedigree, but her amateur level doesn't really translate that well, into the pros. She's still, very amateurish. She gets exposed too much, with a jab. And every time when she gasses out, she ends up breaking down to the body more. So I think Mary's just going to expose those holes in her game. And it'll be very interesting to see how this fight goes, because, this is going to be in Britain. So I think Mary, she needs to take advantage of every single round, because it's only 2-minute rounds for 10 rounders for championship belts. So I think what Mary needs to do, she needs to start applying pressure early. And then in the later round, she could definitely get Chantelle out of there. Hopefully by the 8th round. I'm definitely predicting 8th round stoppage, if not 6th round, because I don't see Chantelle surviving to Mary's body shot. She has a really good left hook to the body, and she could really mix it up well, with her 3-4-5 combinations. So she has a really good mix-up game as far as keeping herself, at bay and making an opponent reset after a trade. But good enough for Mary. She has good, decent defense. Chantelle's defense isn't the best in the world, but if she gets hit too much by Mary's jabs, I can see Mary really giving her a lot of problems. She does have a higher knockout ratio than her. She's at 48%, and Chantelle, she's only at like 30-something. Oh, well, 57, but still, she has more knockouts than Chantelle technically, because she has 8 and Mary has 15. So I don't really see this fight going the distance. I see somebody getting stopped. But if you're gonna ask me, I think the smarter fighter is gonna be on Mary's side. But yeah, let me know what y'all think. Do you think Chantelle Cameron, destroys this girl? I think Mary's only 34, and Chantelle, she's 30. But I think this fight is going to be a really fun fight to watch, and it's good to see for women's boxing. So may the best queen win. And yeah, I'm out. So go Mary Mcgee, go Chantelle Cameron. But I'm pulling for Mary Mcgee all day, baby. All right. Thank you, guys. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.